Good evening. Welcome to Crawley Borough Council's Planning Committee meeting. I am Councillor Pritchard, Chair of the committee. There are no scheduled fire drills tonight, so in the event of a fire alarm, please leave the building via the spiral staircase and the main reception door. Once outside, turn left and go to the fire assembly point on Exchange Road. If you are unable to use the stairs, you will be guided by a member of staff to the evacuation lift. This meeting is being live streamed via the Council's YouTube channel. Please note there is no comment function available. The Council is the data controller and will retain the data collected during this webcast. This will be done in accordance with the Council's published data retention policy. Anyone seated in the public gallery should be aware that by entering the room you are consenting to your image being captured by the automated camera system. Recordings will be used for webcasting or training purposes. The meeting agenda is available on the Council's website. Around these tables sit the committee members who will be making the decisions on the items before them. Officers of the Council are also in attendance, and I'll invite them to introduce themselves now, beginning with the lady to my left.
Good evening, I'm Jess Tamplin, Democratic Services Officer.
Good evening, I'm Siraj Chowdhury, Head of Governance, People and Performance.
Good evening, I'm Jean McPherson. I'm the Group Manager for the Gatwick Northern Runway DCO.
Can I ask, are there any apologies for absence?
We've had apologies from Councillor Burgess.
Thank you. Councillor Chariton has indicated to me he may be late. If he arrives after the halfway point through the presentation, he will attend but not be voting. Okay, just to make it clear, if a councillor walks in, they've been delayed. We will now take items 2 and 3 together. I will call upon committee members to declare any interests or lobbying in relation to any of the items. Please also declare if you've visited any of the sites. Councillor Adonai.
Hello, I've not visited any of the sites. I've not been lobbied, and I've got no particular interest in any of the item properties. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Ashraf.
Hi. Haven't been lobbied or have no interest to declare and haven't visited any of the sites.
Thank you. Councillor Bidwell.
Good evening. I have no interest to declare. I haven't visited the site and I haven't been lobbied.
Councillor Hart.
Good evening. I have no disclosures of interest. I have no lobbying declarations and I haven't visited the site.
Councillor Jaggard.
Good evening. I've not been lobbied. I've no interest to declare. I have looked at the tree from, is it Trevine Plat, from behind. So I did visit, but obviously not the actual property. Thank you.
Thank you. Councillor Khan.
Good evening. I've got no interest to declare. I've not been lobbied. I've not visited any sites. Thank you.
Councillor Magali.
Good evening. I've got no interest to declare. I've not been lobbied and I've not visited the site.
And Councillor Nawaz.
Thank you, Chair. Not been lobbied, no interest to declare. I haven't visited the site officially, but I've seen this site as my travels close to my house, so I'm aware of this
Thank
site.
You. Councillor Abu Musa is also in attendance, but as an observer, you're not required to make any declarations as you will not be participating. Oh. Thank you. I have no interest to declare. I have not been lobbied and I have not visited the site. Thank you. Now we come to the minutes of the last meeting held on 2nd of December 2024. Does the committee agree that the minutes are an accurate record of the meeting? We will now move on to agenda item 5, tree preservation order, oak tree at Moat House, Balcombe Road, Pound Hill, Crawley, RH10 7SY 724. Can the planning officer please introduce the report?
Thank you very much, Chair. This item seeks the confirmation of a tree preservation order made on an oak tree at Moat House, Balcombe Road, Pound Hill. By way of context, the tree concerned is located in the rear garden of Moat House. And Moat House itself sits on the western side of Balcombe Road. And Balcombe Road itself is a fairly well tree-lined street along both sides of the road. The surrounding development is typically larger detached properties in a residential area and characterised by a number of trees within gardens and neighbouring streets. And as T1 on the map there shows the subject tree, which I say is in the garden of Moat House. It came to the attention of the local planning authority following a site visit associated with a planning application for extensions and modifications to the property. And at which time it was noted that the established trees, except for the oak, had been cleared from the site, and to the rear, the land levels in the rear garden around the base of the oak tree had been raised. The tree was considered by the officer to be under threat as the sole remaining mature tree at the site due to the site clearance and the change of levels. So I'll just show you some photographs of the tree in question. The tree now sits in a grassed rear garden, and as you can see from the new fencing and the grass, that the land around it has been reprofiled. The photograph on the left-hand side shows the base of the tree, which has been laid as lawn. And you can see perhaps that the levels immediately around the base of the tree have been raised slightly, as the sort of splayed roots, which you'd normally see where the tree meets the ground, are concealed under the grass. Due to the other site clearance, the tree is visible, highly visible in the locality. It's here where my cursor is. This is looking from Trevane Plat. And I say the landscaping has from the rear garden, it's the only prominent specimen sitting behind this property. And again, a bit further along. And again, you can see the new fencing and the retaining wall there. And again, this is the view from Mereworth Drive, and the subject tree is where my cursor is on the screen now. So again, quite a prominent tree, has amenity in the wider context. And again, this is from Balcombe Road. As you can see, the restoration works for the property are underway, but the subject tree is immediately behind the garage here. So the tree is considered by officers to be visually prominent. And I say it's the only sort of tree at this address. It is well retained. It is considered to be under threat due to the change in ground levels, which need to be reinstated. And it's fair to say that the required ground levels adjustments have been agreed as part of the related planning application. As I say, the tree is now prominent. The objector's representation and the officer responses to those points are set out in sections 5 and 6 of the published officer's report, so I won't repeat them as part of this presentation. But in summary, officers think that the tree is a specimen that is worthy of long-term protection and that the TPO should be confirmed. Thank you very much.
Thank you. There is one speaker registered in regard to this item. Will Peter Walker please come to the speaker's table? The microphone is turned on using the centre button. Can I remind the speaker that I understand there are a lot of issues that are outstanding. This is in relation to the tree preservation order only. Okay, thank you very much. You have 5 minutes to speak on this item.
Good evening, Chair. Ramona and I live at the Moat House with our 2 children. As can be seen in the photo, which was taken about 30 years ago, in respect of the rear garden, please note that it is primarily lawn with 2 mature trees on either flank. This house was sold subsequent to the photo and used as a large-scale HMO for several decades. Over this time, it was allowed to decay significantly. The following photos show the condition of the garden prior to us purchasing the property. Next. And next again. The neighbours seemed delighted that we had bought the house and intended to bring it back to life as a family home. Next. One of the first things we did was to clear the overgrowth. We took the garden back to its original state. Next. We did not remove either of the trees in the earlier photo, and both still remain today. The officer's report talks about us clearing a large number of large shrubs and small trees which previously created a pleasant green screen. This is not an accurate description of what we did, nor the previous condition of the garden. It leaves the committee with the wrong understanding of our intentions. We're a local people trying to sympathetically restore an important building to Crawley's history, and having trees in the garden is an important part of this. Next. In the summer of 2023, we instructed Balcombe Trees to design a tree planting plan for the property. Due to the authority's 2-year delay in determining our planning application, it has not been possible to implement the plan yet. Next. This is an extract from the plan. It includes 4 new trees to be planted in the rear garden. These are in addition to the 2 existing mature trees, and 6 new trees to be planted in the front garden. Ramona, in particular, has a love of trees and was keen to add as many as she could to the design. The full tree planting plan was provided to Mark Robinson in February 2024. None of this information is included in the officer's report to the committee. The report says the oak tree was the only remaining tree in the garden and was considered to be under threat of removal. I would like to assure the committee that there is no risk of the tree being removed, and we have never given the planning department reason to believe otherwise. When the tree officer unexpectedly visited our property on the 16th of December, I called the tree surgeon. The tree surgeon confirmed to the officer the works that had taken place and discussed the condition of the tree, primarily the large amounts of dead wood which had been removed. The tree is under good arboricultural management, and this is an important consideration in government guidance on the granting of orders. Next. The officer's report highlights that we had not implemented the agreed groundworks around the tree by the time of his visit on the 16th of December. I would remind the officer that our planning permission was only granted on the 27th of November, and that we tried on numerous occasions to get agreement for the groundworks to take place. Each time we got no response. Per the earlier photo, the agreed groundworks have now taken place. Next. Authorities have the power to make a tree preservation order if it appears to them to be expedient in the interest of amenity to make provision for the preservation of trees or woodland in their area. Government guidance provides details of how authorities should interpret tests for amenity and expedience. To pass the amenity test, a tree's removal must result in a significant negative impact on the local environment and its enjoyment by the public. The officer's report says that the tree has good individual amenity value. It is not disputed that the tree has some amenity value, but this cannot be considered significant in the context to which it is meant. The particular importance of this tree compared to similar trees in the surrounding area has not been demonstrated, only that collectively they make a solid contribution to the neighbourhood. To apply the same threshold to all trees would imply that orders should be placed on each. Even if the committee did conclude that the tree had significant amenity value, it would still need to pass the expedient test. As the tree is under good arboricultural management, the authority would need to conclude that there is a risk of the tree being felled, pruned or damaged in ways which would have a significant impact on the amenity of the area. Hopefully I have said enough to convince the committee that there is no risk of this.
Thank you very much, Mr. Walker. We will now move to the debate. Committee members wishing to speak should raise their hand, and the officer will respond to queries one by one. Councillor Nawaz.
Thanks, Chair. I'm just looking at this pictures shown by the resident as well. I don't think so. There was any other trees which been removed previously. Do the officers have previous pictures or anything which shows they have removed some of the trees unauthorizedly, or some of these important species has been removed from this garden?
Jane, do you have
Yeah, there were some trees along the particularly along the front of the property that were have been cleared as a result of the site works, which has sort of increased the prominence of the oak tree, which is remaining to the rear of the building. I've seen some earlier photographs, which I haven't got on the slide deck, of sort of street view, and this obviously the oak tree is the largest tree there, but the garden did have as the some fairly mature shrubs and planting in its back garden, which obviously, given the condition of the site, the speaker is cleared. Thank you.
It should be noted that a tree preservation order does not prevent the maintenance or the trimming back of trees or structural work to trees if necessary, but that has to be given permission prior to doing so, as this committee well knows. Councillor Jaggard.
Thank you. I was going to make that point. Yeah, I mean, I have every sympathy with the householder here, and I mean, it is going to be a lovely property once it's finished, and it looks really well balanced and attractive. But as the chair said, that even with a tree preservation order, work can be done on the tree to ensure its health going forward. And I've just looked at the map that we have of where TPOs have been put on trees, and there are a number. I mean, there's 5, 10, 20 just along the road there, which is I can't remember what that was called, Millworth Drive, 20 along there, and Trevane Platt. So there are lots of tree preservation orders in the area because it is, it is full of mature oak trees, and I think this is, deserves a TPO as the others have that are along that stretch of area. Obviously we can't protect all trees, but I think that when we've got a mature oak tree, we need to keep an eye on what's happening to it. Thank you.
Councillor Noas.
Thank you, Chair. I totally agree with Councillor Jaggard on that. We need to protect those trees. I don't think so we're saying that, but I think I have a sympathetic view with the resident, the way it's all been presented, and I always say that the process is so difficult for the resident. They're seen as a villain kind of people who, I don't think so in any of the presentation mentioned they wanted to get rid of the tree at all. But the way we're getting this presentation looks like, or the way it seems like they've been threatened, this is something they're going to do that. I don't know. That's why I ask: is there any proof we can see they've removed any of the trees? The picture shown by the resident is just the shrubs. If they've done to clear to bring the property to the local scene to up to the standards, which is, I think, quite a good thing, the historic building. So that's something I'm Labour worried about. Why not officers work with them, and why the resident has to come over here to present that is differentiating their view. It's not been presented the right way. That's what I think is the process. I always think the process is something needs to be looked into. We need to save trees, I agree, and I think residents, the presentations say that they have no intention to remove this tree at all, but the way it's been done looks like they're not happy with, and that's something needs to be looked into.
Thank you, Chair. Yeah, I think it was difficult with tree preservation orders because it is more of a reactive process. Certainly, it's not the intention that the applicants have done anything wrong. None of the trees on the site, when the clearance work or shrubs, were protected in any way. So there's no suggestion of anything there. But I think obviously when the officer got there and was assessing the other application at the same time, it was evident that there was a nice tree in the back garden and that merited longer term protection. So it's at that point that the expediency about the order comes into effect. So we're not suggesting that there's been anything improper done in the way the site works have carried out in relation to the tree.
It also should be noted that the tree preservation order was applied 6 months ago. This is a confirmation, so the tree preservation order at the time it was applied may have looked a lot different to how it does now. But the decision of this committee is whether we confirm that tree preservation order to run into the future, or whether if we decline that, then the protection is lifted. Okay, do I have any other comments from my colleagues? Okay, we will now, all committee members have had the opportunity to speak, so we'll move on to the vote. The recommendation is to confirm. As the chair, I will move the recommendation. Can I ask the vice chair to second, please?
I second it.
Can I ask for a show of hands all those for the recommendation? All those against? And all those abstaining? Okay, have we got that? Okay, the tree preservation order, oak tree at Moat House, Balcombe Road, Pound Hill, Crawley, has been confirmed. There is no supplemental agenda. The business of this committee has concluded, so this meeting is closed at 19:53. Thank you for attending.